If you are learning how to code or if you know how to code, this video is important because this is the experience of not only myself, but many people I've mentored into the industry. When we make mistakes, mistakes cost us time and money, which basically means the longer it takes you to learn how to code, the longer you'll be without a job. These cheat codes are here to help you learn quicker, stay on track, be focused, get into the industry and become more successful quicker. Now, I'm going to go through this in 10 minutes, 10 cheat codes in 10 minutes. I'm not going to put any fluff in there. I'm going to tell you what you need to know. And I will say that each point is important. So stay to the end, because what I want you to do is once you get to the end, I want you to go into the comments to let me know which of these you've used and which ones that you've used that are not on this list that you think could help other people, because we're growing a community where we can help, learn and grow into the industry. And without further ado, let's get to it. So for the first cheat code, I'm going to start this a little bit different because quite often people start these lists and they say, well, learn the basics. I'm going to go to that later on, but I'm going to start it with something that's a bit different and something a bit more informative for you. And what I'm going to say to you is for the first cheat code, you should be reading code, right? And what do I mean by reading code? Now, the easiest way to do this, and probably the hardest if you're just starting out, is by doing code reviews. I'm reading code reviews. Now, even if you're not skilled enough to understand what's good code and what's bad code, reading through other people's code will give you significant insight into how people write code, how people solve problems, how they're using syntax with a particular language and all these things. And it's a great way to get exposure to improve your skills and learn more about software engineering and problem solving. Now, if you obviously are not in work, which a lot of you may not be, and you're trying to break into the industry, a great way to read code is to go to open source libraries. So you can have a Google, you can have a check of open source libraries. You can also go through things like GitHub. GitHub, not GitHub, I was going to say GitLab. You could go through things like GitHub and you can have a look at some of the open source repos and other people's repos and see what kind of projects they're creating. Now, a lot of these open source projects, you can also fork. So you can pull down a local version of it. You can try it out in your local machine. You can make changes to it without having to push it back up. And you could essentially give it a go working on somebody else's code, but also reading through the code. Because if you can understand what code is doing what, or which code is doing what, it will take your learning like 100-fold quicker. Okay, so that was a great cheat code to start on. But what can we do for the second cheat code? Now, again, I'm going to go a little bit different here because I'm not getting paid by anybody to make these videos. I'm going to tell you what you need to know. The second cheat code that I incorporated is using the right online resources and also not using too many online resources. If you've got memberships, so like Udemy to Coursera to Pluralsight to Front-End Masters to LeetCode and to all these places, you're never going to concentrate on one. And that's a huge problem with a lot of people when they first go into the industry. I mean, a lot of us who have been in the industry 4, 5, 6, 10 years, we have that issue as well, but we learn how to sort of curve it down and stay with one thing. But when you're first in the industry, everything's cool, everything's shiny, everything's a diamond, and you want to try it all out. So what I would say is it's not about the resource, it's about the teacher. So go to a resource. So say, for example, you want to learn TypeScript, okay? Go to 3 or 4 different course providers. Go to Udemy, go to Front-End Masters, or whichever ones you can afford, Pluralsight, etc. And have a look at the TypeScript courses and have a look at the previews, the free previews, and find a teacher or a learning resource or a person who you think that you can relate to, who you think teaches in a style that you learn, and stick to that one. Because quite often, there are different teachers who teach in different styles, and as students, we learn in different styles. So instead of using so many different things, if you can find one who really resonates with you, your learning will grow tenfold. Okay, the number 3 cheat code, and I told you this one was going to come, is understanding the basics. But what we mean when we say understand the basics, you've all heard it before. When you are first learning how to code, the first thing you're going to get introduced is to the code itself. Now, if you do not understand basic things like data types, like variables, how to use a variable, is, for example, a JavaScript, is it a const, is it a let, is it, can we change the variable type? Do you know how to write a function? Do you know how JavaScript gets compiled? Do you know what a for loop does? Do you know how a map works? Can you use a map on an object? Can you use it on an array? These are things that we call the basics. And when you understand the basics of these things, how they work, how they compile, it will make you an overall stronger engineer, because you will be able to look at a data structure and you'll be able to understand, okay, this is an object of arrays. I can map over this to get out the data I want. Or I can use a filter function over this and I can take away the data that I don't want, returning back an array of objects that I do want. These are all things that will help you along in your career and help you when it comes to the next cheat code. So make sure that you do spend the time to learn the basics of the code. And when we mean the basics, we don't just mean this is how I write a variable. It's how does the function work? How does a map work? What data type does a map work on? Well, what is in Boolean, blah, blah, blah. You see where I'm going with this, I hope. And then to follow on from the things that you learn in the basics, cheat code number 3 is cheat code number 4. Build, build, build. This is so underrated by so many people when they're breaking into the industry. It's like you will build the basic things you have to build. That's a requirement from your college, from your university, or from your boot camp. But you won't go further and build something of your own design or build something that's different to what you're being told to build. Now, anyone can follow a tutorial, right? I could take somebody who's never wrote a line of code, and I could give them a tutorial, and chances are they'll be able to follow it. But you see the difference between people who do that and the people who go out a little bit further and say, right, okay, this is really cool. What can I build now? And it doesn't have to be something fancy, change the world, whatever. It just needs to be something that you can build. That's when you start cementing education into knowledge, when you start becoming a knowledgeable person, when you're having to start thinking on your own, having to start using your brain. And that's why it's such an important step for people who are learning how to code, is just to keep building. Okay, number 5. So a lot of us, when we come to this industry, we're quite shy, especially if you're not coming from a younger age. If you're someone like me who didn't get to the industry until you were like late 20s, early 30s, you're often quite shy to reach out and ask for help because you're not sure if that's what you should be doing. You know, is it a sensible thing to do? Are you going to be seen as less of a person, less qualified because you need help? But I will put your fears at rest, and I will tell you, if you need help, ask for help. But where can you ask for help if you are learning how to code yourself? So if you are coming through college or university, ask your tutors, ask your friends, or find a mentor. And you can find a mentor through attending meetups or through LinkedIn. Plenty of people will help you learn how to code. If you're coming through our bootcamp, use the tutor and the resources that they give you. They should be able to help you and answer your questions. Now, failing those people, yes, you could use AI, and I'll go to that in the next step or the second after. But failing that, you can still go to places like Stack Overflow. You can ask these questions on Stack Overflow and you will get an answer. Sometimes it's a crappy answer, right? Because some developers have bad egos. However, you will find some good people will come and they will always try to help you the best way they can. The other place you will find help is on LinkedIn. Now, LinkedIn, people normally use it for networking, and I've used it for networking over the years fantastically. However, what I started off using it for is asking for help with my code. And a lot of people don't know this, is that I got a lot of help from people just helping me with my architecture decisions, my coding decisions, when I was learning how to code, and my problem solving decisions. So use the resources, especially as you start to build your network, because people love to help people who help themselves. Okay, so number 7, because it follows directly on from asking for help, is not comparing yourself to others. The worst thing you can do when learning how to code, when starting out, or even later on in the industry, now as a senior, someone who's becoming a senior engineer, I still compare myself to others, and it makes me feel crap, and it makes me feel down, and I often wonder, am I in the right industry? Imposter syndrome starts to settle in, and it's honestly one of the most detrimental things you can do for not just your mental health, but your career growth and your confidence within yourself. The best time I have, or the best times I have when I'm at work, is when I fully believe in myself and I don't compare myself to others. I'm on my journey. You are on yours. Don't compare yourself to others because it's massively detrimental. Okay, number 8. Now we've made it to number 8. We're going to touch on AI. Should you be using AI? Okay, so this is a delicate answer. Yes, you should be using AI. AI can teach you how to code and it can help you solve problems. The problem is when you are starting out, you use it to write code that you don't understand. So if you are going to use AI, no matter what that is, Copilot, ChatGPT, or whatever angle you're going to go to use AI, if you are learning how to code, remember this is a cheat code, so you should be using AI. It's okay, I'm okay with that. Use it responsibly. Make sure that whatever you ask it to do or whatever you use it for, you understand what the output is. If you're asking it to write a function for you or a map or a if-else statement or whatever it is, just understand the code that it's putting out for you. And then the next time you come to a similar problem, attempt it yourself before using AI. If you come to a complex bit of code in a tutorial that's not working or you don't understand it, copy and paste it into it and ask it to explain it to you like you're 5. It will do that and it will accelerate your learning journey. As AI is essentially a personal tutor that you can use to help explain the technical things that you don't quite understand in a very simple, easy to follow manner. So definitely use it, but use it responsibly. Number 9 is quite important. When we often get into coding, we think it's all about the code, right? We think we're just going to write loads of code and that's what the name of the job is. But as a software engineer, you are not a code monkey. You are a problem solver. So learning how to break down problems, big problems, into smaller problems is going to be one of the key things that defines, accelerates, and grows your career. So it's not just about how well you write code, it's how well you tackle problems and how well you break them down. Now, practicing or picking up a problem solving skill, or picking up problem solving skills is huge in this industry. It's what we're after. Various ways you can do that in terms of following things like Lean Code, where I know it's a bit more of a coding thing, but it's teaching you how to understand questions and problems. But also when you are attempting a tutorial, you need to think about, okay, if I'm writing this code, what problem is it solving? And is it doing it in the most efficient way? Is it doing it in the best way? What other ways can I solve this problem that I'm facing right now? So if you see where I'm going with that, it's about problem solving and how you approach that problem and break it down. So keep that in mind. Another time we've touched on this briefly in terms of open source contributions and stuff like that, reading code, we were talking about that for cheat code, but getting actually involved in open source initiatives, pushing code to open source initiatives, going to code catas, going to coding competitions, going to hackathons, they're going to jump your experience and your skill level tenfold. Don't worry if you're starting out. More often than not, they will find a position for everybody to get involved. And after you've gone to the first, second, and third, you'll start to feel more comfortable. You'll start to upskill a lot, and you'll start contributing more to those sorts towards the team, to the hackathon, and you'll go a lot further. So if you get the chance, even if you don't get the chance, try and go out of your way to find one, especially if you're trying to get a job in the industry. It'll give you commercial experience that you can use on your CV or resume. It makes you more appealing to recruiters and companies because they see that you're somebody who's sort of giving back to the industry or getting into the industry by being contributive, by being active. And it also shows a lot about your teamworking skills and your sort of resolution to learning how to code. Okay, so that's 10 cheat codes of learning how to code. I'd love for you to tell me which ones you've used, if you've incorporated any of these, or which ones you've done which I've not listed that could help other people or that helped yourself. And as always, please like and subscribe because it helps. And I'll catch you in the next one.